it is your responsibility. Now, I've seen so many workplace pensions where big corporates, and you'd imagine that their pension fund was a good one, but actually it's underperforming. So the way to look it up is ring up your provider of every pension you've got and say, what's the name of the fund that I'm in? And then just go to a website called TrustNet and type that in as well into the Google bar, press go, and it'll bring up a fact sheet. And there's so much information on there. Geeky people like me love looking at it, but really what you just want to see is the one graph that's on the top left, and the graph will show you two lines. One is you and one is the average. And I think that's just an initial sort of acid test. Am I about right? Am I underperforming? Am I overperforming? And a lot of pensions do underperform, and you need to know that, and you need to find it out quickly. So I would check that at least every 6 months.
And just kind of what it's invested in as well. I think that so many people that I speak to, it's like, this is going to be the biggest asset in your life. It's probably going to be worth more than your house. And you can tell me what your mortgage rate is, but you can't tell me what your pension's invested in. You know, and I think people just need to look under the hood, don't they?
If you change your providers, you invest in something else, do you have to pay a fee to like move it over?
So the first thing is, say I'm with Aviva, in there I can have access to probably in most Aviva pensions, hundreds of different funds. And there'll be some Aviva ones, but there'll be other outside providers ones on the whole. So you can move usually without charge internally.
In Aviva, but if you want to move to a different insurance company, then a different pension provider.
If you want to move to another pension provider, so say you're moving from Aviva to somewhere else, if you do that with an advisor, they will usually they will charge you. You can do that yourself often, especially if the pot's worth less than, I think, 30,000. But then you want to be moving for the right reasons, because your workplace pensions are probably going to be really, really cheap, probably the cheapest pensions you can get your hands on. So if you're moving it to something else, it's probably going to be more expensive. So how do you justify that? And often that can be because it's got more fund choice, or maybe you've got an ethical viewpoint when it comes to investing, and that's just not available within your current pension. And then I think another thing to be extra careful of, I saved a man from pension death the other week. He was going to move his pension. And so, you know how I said most pensions have 25% tax-free? If the pension's before, definitely the early 2000s, the 90s, it's worth checking how much tax-free cash you had, because he had 98% tax-free cash.
What was that, just a feature of the pension?
Yeah, and if he'd have moved it, it would have gone to the rules of the 25%.
Wow.
And there was a lot of money in there. So you've got to check. And the question to us providers are there any guarantees that I would lose by moving my pension? And you want that in writing before you moved anything.
Guys, trust me, there's so much more from Lisa Conway Hughes on pensions. To watch a full episode, click here. You will not be disappointed.